We stay in KwaZulu-Natal and take you to Pietermaritzburg, where dozens of men have formed an activism group to campaign against gender-based violence. Karinda Jagmohan is standing by to give us a little bit of context. Karinda, and what exactly is their focus?
Certainly. Good morning to you. This activism group, consisting of men from this community, comes in the wake of the tragic murder of Delana Cader. She was a prominent gospel singer in this community, a person that was much loved. She was murdered on the eve of Mother's Day, allegedly by her husband, who was said to have had a history of abuse as well. And that is why the men of the community, especially those who were close to her, have formed this activism group to start looking within the community and address the issues of gender-based violence that we know has been described as a pandemic. I'm going to start with Craig Fries. He's one of the almost leaders of the organization. Sir, I think first talk about the importance of bringing together men of Pietermaritzburg to address the issue of GBV.
Morning, Karinda, and thank you to you, and morning to the viewers out there. As men, we were deeply disturbed with the tragic events, like you said, what happened to Delana. And as men, we've come together to form a group to say men need to unite and stand up against gender-based violence. And it's through the collective effort of all these men standing here today, some that are not here due to other circumstances, that we formed this group to fight GBV within our city of Pietermaritzburg. We are men from different parts of Pietermaritzburg, and we've come together to say let's unite and let's stand together against this cause.
What is the group going to be doing? What activities will you undertake for this?
We're looking at having a structure in place, a structure where men, women can come forward and know that when they're faced with the social ill, they know they can go to get the professional help that they can reach out to. So we will be putting structures in place so that when it comes to policing, judiciary, that kind of backing, we have all those structures in place.
Alton, I want to come to you next. I mean, just earlier we had a conversation about how the alleged perpetrator was known by the community, and you've had talks with him before. Do you think this group can further that kind of discussion with known perpetrators of violence here? Tell me about that.
Definitely. It starts with a few good men.
Yeah.
And these few good men have decided to stand up and say, if there's any man out there struggling with this, don't be the next Ian Rollins. We want to prevent that. Come to us, speak to us. We're here to help you. Don't take that woman's life. It's not worth it. It causes so much pain in the community. It ruins lives. Reach out to us. We are willing to help. That's what we're here for.
On that note, Alan, you are from the CPF of Pietermaritzburg in this particular area. Just your call to men to join CPF, because all of you have given your time to come here and have these discussions about gender-based violence. What's your advice, very briefly?
We would encourage most of the men to come in and join part of the CPF, and also to join structures such as one that we've now formed. Moreover, to be encouraged and to know that they're not alone. Whatever problems they've got, social problems that the men have got themselves, we can also assist there and look for support groups for men, because we hardly find in Maritzburg support groups for men. So that is what we want to do, is have more of those. Yeah.
If I can also just come to you, I mean, another discussion we're having is about the relationship between men with each other, the anger issues, those insecurities that men might have that might push them to this abuse that we see against women. How do you think this needs to be dealt with? What's your advice?
Look, like some of my colleagues have already said, there needs to be an open dialogue, and men need to be open, and just be real, before it gets to a point where, your anger becomes like a pressure cooker. And when we don't speak, the pressure only builds. And there's something about our society where men are still very much stereotyped. Men don't cry, men don't express their feelings. And we really need to deconstruct that collectively, because now what we're having to deal with is a collective trauma that is faced in this community by our ladies. From a church perspective, we're seeing it every day, where the ladies are battling Because Delana was really the face of GBV knocking at our door because of her profile. And so men just need to be open and acknowledge their challenges and just be real, just be authentic. We always encourage people to be your authentic self. It's time for men to be authentic. We are not going to be Superman all the time. There are days where we're going to struggle, and we just need to be open about that.
Gavin, I'd like to end with you. I mean, this is easier said than done. We're talking right now, but what is your advice for men to take action in the way you've done? Because I understand this will also involve bringing in the youth too. So it's easier said than done. Is this a talk shop? Tell us about your advice to men.
Okay, my advice to men is, like my colleagues also said, we just need to be open and real about it. So this formulation of this group is basically a supportive mechanism to all. We've got local government structures like your war rooms and stuff. We need to address it at those levels. We need to include our CPFs. So we basically the mechanism or the cog that's going to join all these organizations together, from local government to government itself. And like I said in former interviews, we must make sure that it doesn't just stop within this ward. It must go throughout this country, communities and societies.
When it's known that there's abuse happening behind closed doors and communities don't speak out about it, what actions can they take? What are you as men doing here in Maritzburg to take action? Okay, so there's only really two roads to go. One, from a law perspective, is that that lady needs to open up a case, but psychologically she might be impaired. We have situations where ladies have come forward to us and said, this is the problem. So what we're doing is we're getting our local neighborhood watchers, our CPF structures to assist us with that, especially from a psychological point of view with social workers. So they can come forward to us and then we will take it on for them. Because sometimes they're not strong enough to man up to that, or woman up to that per se. What actually happens to them is that they feel that they're confined between walls. And we come from societies and communities where our women were the forerunners and we protected them. Thank you very much for your time. Of course, what we see now is that good men are taking their community into their own hands. They've noticed, especially from the CPF aspect, that there is an increase of gender-based violence incidents in this community. And the last stop for them was the murder of a much-loved, prominent gospel singer here, Delana Cader, killed allegedly by her estranged husband, who they say they've known to have had a history of abuse. And of course, these men wish that they could have taken further action. So now what they've done is form this group to actually ensure that when women are experiencing issues of gender-based violence, issues of abuse, that they have a platform to come to. It will be this group of men here in Pietermaritzburg, and what they say is elsewhere countrywide, similar communities need to form the same safety net for women who we know are going through this pandemic in South Africa. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Karinda. Jagmohan.